boys and girls, welcome to my channel, I'm for Classic and welcome to Watch Dogs Legion. So this game it is developed by Ubisoft Toronto and the port to the PC was developed by Ubisoft Kyiv. Kyiv is it's a branch of New 2 Studios, so usually the ports for PC from Ubisoft were developed by Ubisoft Kyiv. But now they decided to include Ubisoft Ukraine into the mix and decided to call it Ubisoft Kyiv. So this game it is using this wrapped engine, the same engine behind all the previous, Watch Dogs. And this is my recommended settings for the GTX 1650 Super. So I'm using 1080p and I'm using the high presets, which uses textures on median, which fits inside the 4GB of VRAM. If you raise the texture resolution too high, well, it doesn't fit inside the 4GB of VRAM. There is also an HG texture pack, but as you can expect, I decided to not use it for obvious reasons. So looking to the requirements, I'm glad that Ubisoft always tries to share their set of requirements, explaining what we can expect from each setup. So I guess we fit inside the 1080p high settings, as you can see, since it recommends a GTX 1060, which is very similar to what we have with the 1650 Super, aside from VRAM, which the 1060 have 6GB, but for the high preset 4GB of VRAM it is fine. So I decided to test the game with low, median, high and very high, using textures on median, and also 1440p median settings just to see how it gone. And disappointingly, even at the X12, I've noticed a trend between all the settings. It seemed like I was having some sort of bottleneck going on from the CPU, and I was like, no, it can't be. I mean, this is a Ryzen 5 3600X. I mean, what the hell is going on? But yeah, GPU usage, for example, at the low settings and using DirectX 12, GPU usage hovers between 80 to 99%, implying that there might be a bottleneck in here, and that is surprising. At the X11 it is obviously even worse. So yes, I'm not really sure what the hell is going on, but I'm not really happy with the results. So at 1080p high settings, what I got, it was an average of 52 frames per second with a 1% of 36. As you can see, performance wise, the difference between high, medium and low, it is very close between each other, so no really big gains. For me, the high settings, it was the best balance between quality and graphics. But if you go with very high, with textures on medium, there is still a possibility, and it is playable above 30 frames per second, but the FPS drop that I did got comparing to the other settings, it was way too big. If I decide to use ultra settings and still use textures on median, this overall setting at ultra and textures on median does use more than 4GB of VRAM. My frame rate just tanks to under 20 frames per second, so I decided to not include ultra in here because it was a disaster. And at 1440p median settings, the average was 40 frames per second, but I immediately started to notice that the game was going under 30 frames per second every time I was close to the river. Yes, and the river, it was without a doubt the most demanding thing out of Watch Dogs Legion. So for now, this is the performance that you can expect. A not locked 60 frames per second, whatever the setting you go. I'm not really sure if there is something wrong on the CPU side of the game or with the X12. I'm not really sure if Nvidia needs to release drivers specifically for this or not. But all I do know is that this game, it is being ported for current gen and also next gen consoles, and they say that for the next gen consoles they will need the game to be optimized for it and patched. So who knows if when the next generation consoles releases and when they do patch the game with those next generation improvements, the game will be more optimized for the PC, because I don't know. But also I have heard, and I'm not really sure if this is 100% true, but I have heard that Watch Dogs Legion doesn't run at 60 frames per second, even on the next-gen consoles. I'm not really sure how 100% true this is, because Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it was announced that it can run at 60 frames per second on the next-gen consoles, but according to other rumors out there, Watch Dogs Legion, it is not. It is only able to match 30 frames per second. So I haven't yet investigated the performance on many other systems, but I had a friend that have an i7 from the 8000 generation, which is also a 6 core and 12 threads, and he said that he was using ray tracing and he was also having a very big CPU bottleneck. So there might be something wrong on the CPU department of this game, or at least some people are getting affected. I honestly don't know what the hell is going on, but if a patch improves a lot the performance, I will let you know, and I will do another video with the new results, alright? But for now, that's the performance that you can expect. As for the game itself, Watch Dogs Legion, brings two new stuff to the table. First of all, it is London. London, it isn't really a city that have been used in games. Most of the games are set place on Los Angeles, New York, Chicago. Yeah, we don't have too much games outside from USA mostly. Yes, there was Sleeping Dogs, which was on Hong Kong. But I mean, on London, last time I remember a game from London, it was Forza Horizon, which is an open world racing game. And The Getaway, which was a very old title from the PS2 era. But yeah, I'm actually surprised to see that they have gone with London, and it is fine to see something new, but unfortunately the city doesn't really show us too much stuff, or it isn't really pretty at all for us to enjoy the landmarks of it. Yeah, it's not a very interesting city, at least on this game, unfortunately. The new stuff also that I forgot to mention now, it is the Legion system. And the Legion system, or should I call it the Nemesis system from Shadow of War and Shadow of Mortar? Meh. Legion system, it is what really makes the game what it is. It means that we are recruiting people to DedSec. I mean, I was missing the name. We are recruiting people to DedSec, and you can recruit any single person from outside world. I mean, any pedestrian on the street can be recruited as a DedSec operator, and that's really interesting because each one on the city have its own advantages and disadvantages, and it is so complex that if they have their own routines and their own habits, and for example, if you help a sister of one of those characters on the streets, and he might not be a believer of that sect. This was according to ACG. ACG is an excellent reviewer. He said that if that character have a sister in the world and you help the sister with something, it actually convinces his brother to join that sect, even if it is a non-believer of that sect. And since the sister it is a believer, since that sect helped the sister, he is a little bit more convinced that that sec it is the way to go, and you might be able to recruit him to that sec. So there is a lot of intersections, if I can say that, if this is the world. I mean, there is a lot of stuff that joins the personalities of the pedestrians together, which makes this game so unique. I think this is actually the main thing about the game, because for the rest of the game, what you can expect, it is the typical Watch Dogs 2 gameplay. And unfortunately, this game doesn't offer anything new. I mean, all the gameplay and all the stuff related to that, related to gameplay, will be pretty much more of the same. It will be Watch Dogs 2 all over again, but this time set in London and in a much more futuristic environment, and with this Legion system. So overall, it is just that. Alright, so guys, I think that's all that I want to talk about Watch Dogs Legion. Hope you did enjoy the video, hope you keep enjoying the rest of it. It will be very bad, because I was trying to get above the building and I was having some troubles in here. So I haven't played Watch Dogs for a long time, so I'm just going to make very dumb gameplay in here, because I'm not really sure how the hell I'm going to do it. Alright guys, so again, thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
We have reports of a hostile in your area. Over.
Received. Responding to the situation now.
Control, we have an armed civilian. Over.
No sign of the target. Over.
Global British. I'm terminating the search. Fall back. Over.